likely.
All right, well, what's up, guys? We are live. I got to get this window capture out of the way. Sorry, it's not going to be the most seamless transitions in the world. But we are live. I am Panda. I'm here to talk to you guys about some nerdy stuff that I love. We got Mish with us and Volan. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, feel free. Whoever wants to go first.
What's up? I'm Crazed, and this is my first time being on stream with Panda and Bolin. I'm very excited to talk about some nerd culture of these guys and look forward to hanging out with y'all tonight. Very excited about it.
What's up, guys? It's me, GP Volan. You guys can call me Ryan if you like to. This is not actually my real voice, but ready to talk some nerd stuff as well. I'm scared, kind of. Never been on camera before.
Yes, you have. Shut up. All right, guys. So just
I'm
a
sorry.
little bit of an introduction to this show. It's called "It's a Nerd's World," and as you can see by all the stuff on the screen, the screen. It's going to be anything to do with video games, movies, TV shows, comics, just anything nerd culture you can think of that we're interested in or that you guys are interested. We're probably going to discuss it on this show. It's going to be bi-weekly, so next week will be the King's Table, then the week after will be this one again. So we're just alternating the 2 weeks of the stream. But this one's going to be focused on just stuff that we think is cool, stuff that we think is interesting, and basically anything going on in the nerd world. So we're going to go ahead and move to our first topic here. The first topic I have, I think this is probably not as relevant as it would have been a month ago, 2 months ago maybe, but we just want to talk a little bit kind of about the Ninja and then the Fortnite explosion, I guess, along with that. And I guess we can kind of piggyback those off each other. Basically just kind of talk about what our thoughts are on Ninja, what we think it's doing for the gaming world, what we think it's doing for the Twitch world, Fortnite, whatever else we want to talk about along with that. Craze, if you have any thoughts on that, I know you play some Fortnites from time to time.
Sure. I honestly didn't hear that much about Ninja until I heard that he was game with Drake and wide receiver from Pittsburgh, Juju Smith-Schuster. And after that, it seemed like he really blew up. And the one tweet I saw about him was that he was not going to cuss in front of the kids, which I thought was pretty cool. He's like adapting. I mean, he's already big, but he wants to gain more of an audience by cutting back on the cursing, which I was like, that's pretty cool. So I know, I'm pretty sure you guys met people who cuss a lot, who it's in their vocabulary, like, hey, I'm going to try to stop this, stuff, so I can bring in a different crowd, which I respect that. I think it's really cool of him to do that for the kids. But other than that, I feel like that's the most I've heard about him was the whole Drake thing, and then him not cussing anymore for like a children's audience. That's all I know about him, honestly.
Yeah. So for me, it's kind of funny because I was watching Ninja whenever he was starting out streaming, not starting out, but when he was small. So he started with Halo, then he went to H1Z1, then he played PUBG. Now he's on the Fortnite train. I was watching him in his PUBG and kind of H1Z1 transition days, and he was getting 500 to 2,000 viewers. Usually was what he would get, and it was just really cool to watch him whenever he was still small, not really small, big enough.
That's pretty cool.
And then now just to watch him kind of explode. I love the guy. I think he's an awesome entertainer. I mean, like you said, him taking it upon himself to try to cut down on the language on his stream and, try to be more of a role model for these young kids, I think is really cool.
For sure.
But I remember whenever he was on the grind of getting them to dig gigabit internet to his house so he could be a consistent and good streamer, and he was paying $1,300 a month for internet at the time.
Wow.
And I don't know, it's just really cool to see a guy that I liked then explode like this. And I just think it's well deserved and well earned for him for sure.
Fun little fact, it has nothing to do with gaming, but he's actually a Lions fan, which is nice for me because I'm a Lions fan.
From Detroit.
Good to know.
So I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Good to know. Yeah, so if you guys haven't watched Ninja, definitely go check him out. If you want to get good at Fortnite, he's the guy to watch. If you want to learn how to get good at streaming, he's the guy to watch. He's blowing up right now because, for one, he's doing it in the right way. I think, anyway, a family-friendly, clean way. And he's not really taking advantage of others. He's trying to bring others into it as well. He's bringing other people into his streams. He's partnering with him. He's partnering with charity organizations. He was basically giving out free money to all these different people that wanted to take him out in Fortnite because it was everybody against him, and you got extra money if you killed him in that Fortnite event he did. So,
pretty sweet.
I think the things that he's doing are pretty cool. Volan, you got any thoughts on Ninja?
Well, I'm very similar to you. I didn't really watch his streams, but I've known about him for a long time. I used to get destroyed by him back in the Halo Reach times. there'd be times when he would be, when he was just playing random games or whatnot, I'd play against his character on Halo Reach because I was one of the top players in North America, like top 10,000, but that's nothing. It just means I get to play against him and get absolutely dumpstered, you know?
Because he was a pro, right? He was a pro Halo player.
Yeah, he was a pro Halo player. He also played in a lot of tournaments for PUBG. He won a couple tournaments there. He's on a team right now.
Luminosity.
He recently has stopped professionally playing just so he could focus on the stream.
Yeah, he's still sponsored by Luminosity though.
Oh yeah. Well, they're not gonna drop a sponsor of him if he's
Right.
No.
Yeah, they're not really costing him anything. They're just making him money.
Mm-hmm.
So but yeah. So and everybody's flipping out about these battle royale games, So in Ninja, it was just a matter of time that one of these guys was going to take over, and it just so happens that Drake was watching Ninja play PUBG once, and he was like, "Oh, this guy got pretty good at Fortnite. I like playing this game. Let's And he's like, "I'm Drake. I can get anybody to come play games with me.
Mm-hmm.
I can get carried. I can pay to carry. I don't even have to pay. Someone will do it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that just basically is what it boiled down to. I've started watching a lot of his videos just because he's entertaining. He doesn't sit there and I'm trying to think of the word. I don't want to say the words, of course. There's a couple other guys I like to watch, like I Am Wildcat, and he uses his vulgarity a lot. It's just how he talks, but he's really funny. But the other thing that Ninja stopped doing with the fact that he's trying to appeal more towards kids, because those are the ones who are playing Fortnite most of the time, other than the hardcore gamers trying to make money off Twitch, is the fact that a lot of times you can get less profit from videos and all that due to the profanity. You can actually lose a little bit of profit based
especially on
sometimes
YouTube.
You just don't. Yeah, YouTube is a big thing because he's the fastest growing YouTube channel as of the last few months. So,
Yeah, I think he's the fastest growing everything in the last few months, to be honest.
Yeah.
He's been
Twitter,
fired.
Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and it's crazy also just looking at the different top streamers, going through at least so far this May, since May is about to come to a close. I was looking at some of this just a second ago. Can any of you guys tell me who you think is the top Twitch streamer and what their game is right now?
All right.
As of May 2018. It's
like
probably
Right now, it's got to be Ninja with Fortnite, right?
Yeah, it has to be him. Yeah.
Ninja with Fortnite. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay, so who do you think comes in a close second? And by close, I mean it's not really, but the
Dr.
last
Disrespect.
I'm a
Dr.
PewDiePie
Disrespect?
or Tyler One.
Okay. So number 2 would be TSM Myth,
Oh yeah,
who is
I guess
also a Fortnite
he's also
streamer.
a Fortnite streamer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And TSM took up a lot, so there's gonna be a little bit of stuff working on there. But he's also a Fortnite player, so you see that this is taking over. Number 3, you guys have any guesses?
I mean, if it's another Fortnite streamer, I'm gonna be a little sad, but
Yeah.
I mean, I would say
I'll
maybe
give you a hint. It's not.
maybe
Oh, it's
T1, maybe Tyler One, or
Tyler
PewDiePie.
One. What about you, Crazed? Do you?
Dr. Disrespect. That's the other
Nope.
person I know.
I'll tell you right now. Neither of those guys are in the top.
Oh, they're not. Oh, wow.
One of them I've never heard of, but he's we'll get to that in a second. So number 3 is Shroud.
Oh, okay,
gosh.
yeah, Shroud,
Yeah, I know
PUBG.
him.
He still gets like
Yeah,
40K a night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gotta,
he plays a little bit of Fortnite too.
yeah, but he's primarily a PUBG
Yeah,
player.
he's sponsored actually by PUBG, so
Mm-hmm.
That's sweet.
Because
Little
they're
fun fact.
failing. It's going great.
but he gets paid a lot of money by them. Who's number 5? Or number 4, number 5? Because I don't know.
Number 4, I'm not even gonna ask because these are really hard. Dota 2 RU Hub.
Oh, that's Dota's
Yeah.
main tournament.
Yeah. So apparently that came through. So I'm just gonna skip over that one. We'll go to Overwatch League is on this.
The
list
funny
as
thing
well.
about that is Dota's Russian audience, their Russian channel gets way more viewers than like any of
Oh,
the
really?
other. Mm-hmm. Because I've watched Dota every now and then just because it's kind of fun to watch just to see how good they are. But like the Russian one always comes up first. Like when you see Dota on like the front like top games, it's the Russian one, then it's like the English one, and they do them in like all
Dang.
kinds of different like languages. So
Well, we'll do this last guy. Can you guess what kind of games they play? I don't know why I need to ask this because it's a variety streamer. That's kind of dumb for me to
I
ask
was gonna
that.
say I have no idea.
Yeah, a
honestly.
variety streamer is kind of hard to go with that. It'd be Soda Poppin'. This
Oh, okay.
last month has gotten
Really?
a lot of stuff going.
That
Yeah.
surprises me because I haven't heard much from
That's-
him lately.
That's a name I've known for a long time. I
He
haven't
was
really
one of
watched.
like the original. He's been like Justin TV. He was like a
Mhm.
WoW streamer
Oh, wow.
forever.
Yeah,
Justin TV, jeez.
Yeah,
I
he's been
I
around a
remember-
long time.
it's been crazy.
That's cool. And I had a thought while you guys were talking about Dr. Disrespect and Ninja. So Ninja is kind of, if he doesn't win Streamer of the Year, like something drastic would have had to have happened to him or something like that. So if he doesn't get like the King of Twitch thing at the end of the year, I would be surprised. So what do you guys think about Ninja replacing Dr. Disrespect along those lines? Because Doc won it 2 years in a row, and if Ninja
PewDiePie
doesn't win
as
it,
well.
something crazy would have to happen. So what do you guys think about Dr. Disrespect being the king of Twitch right now?
I don't think he is right now. Yeah,
Well,
but like you
no.
said,
I mean, Ninja
yeah.
being the king of Twitch. I mean, I think I said Dr. Disrespect by accident.
Oh, it's an easy.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
If they're going by recent, they're gonna be going by recent stuff. I mean, he's been popular all year long, so there's no reason. Like he dwarfs almost anything. Like the only thing that ever seems to pass his numbers nowadays is Riot Games, EULCS, MSI, NASS, all that. So it's not likely that anybody's gonna pass him. Now, if Faker were to stream more often,
You might have a chance, yeah.
He does, but especially with the fact that he is not a world champion anymore, it's kind of hard
Mhm.
for him to get the amount of people watching him. But there's no way that Ninja is not the one that wins it.
Are you
Without
guys
doubt.
happy for him replacing Doc? Because I'll be honest, like Dr. Disrespect is whatever, but I'm not a big fan of him. To be honest, I don't like his personality very much. He's
Me
very
either.
abrasive. So
Yeah.
I find what he makes himself look like wearing all his fake, get up and all that. I find the way he dresses for his stream is pretty funny, but the rest of him is just like, I don't find you entertaining.
Yeah,
I can see I can see how a lot of people do enjoy watching
Mhm.
him. I can see how that can appeal to a lot of people, especially an older crowd on Twitch. But it's just not. He stopped for so long. It's hard for him to be able to.
Did you
jump back
watch that
in.
day he came back though?
Oh, it was
Oh
insane.
my gosh.
It wasn't Drake insane, but
His
was-
so for like the first week he came back, his new subscriber alert didn't stop playing the entire time. He had to shut it off.
Really?
Because it was
Wow.
getting so annoying. Yeah.
Mhm.
It didn't stop playing the entire time. He
Yeah.
like I think tripled, quadrupled the amount of subs he had whenever he had stopped. Like it was
Dang.
and he already had and he still had like hundreds of thousands left over from when he like took that break. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was,
it was-
and I will say one thing about Doc, his production value is the best on Twitch. Like, I don't care what anyone says. His production value is awesome. Like, all his graphics, his videos, and his YouTube editor is insane. Like, I don't know if you've ever watched his YouTube videos, but they're super good. So I will say that. He has that going for him, but, like, Ninja's production value has gotten really good because he's made so much money and he can just kind of pay for it now.
Right.
But Ninja, as far as entertainment goes, and as far as, like, type of person and personality is 1,000 times, like, huge upgrade for me, so... I
agree.
personally still don't watch Ninja that much just because I don't like Fortnite. I just don't enjoy the game. So I watch QtPie probably more than anyone. He's still my favorite streamer. But that's purely based on game more than anything else. Like, I just like watching League of Legends. So thoughts on the Fortnite explosion? I mean, I have a few thoughts on this. Like, I will say it does make me sad that they killed Paragon to make this game. Like, I get that it was necessary. But other than that, like, I just don't like the game myself. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't really enjoy it. But other than that, I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on it. I haven't played it very much. I've played, like, a few hours worth is all. I just not a fan of it.
The one thing I like about it is that obviously it's free, and it's constantly being updated.
Mhm.
You know, I don't know how many months they upgrade it, but you get new. There's a thing called a battle pack or battle pass.
It's like every
Get
few
new
months,
skins.
right? Every, like, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, every month. Yeah, and it gives you a challenge. Like I think every week it gives you certain goals to do to level up and obtain new skin. And there's a thing called V-Bucks, which helps you buy new skins and new equipment.
Mhm.
And I think that's what draws me in because I suck at the game. I hate the building aspect of it, but I like how I'm like, hey, if I do this, I can get this cool looking skin. And plus, a lot of my friends play it, so I want to be involved with them as well. So I think it has a lot to do with the challenge, the items you earn, and just the playability, how they keep upgrading it and adding new features to it, which I think is pretty cool. And that's why it has a good success.
Which is what PUBG failed at.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Besides
So
the
you're
game
getting-
not functioning properly.
So yeah, you're getting right to where I was thinking. there, Panda. So PUBG as a game that I've spent a lot of time in with me and my small group of friends. That when I built my computer, I built it with knowing one person that had another PC, and I left all my friends who were on Xbox and or playing Star Wars: The Old Republic on their crap PCs, and I was playing it there. And there'd be times the enemies wouldn't even show up, So I never really understood PC gaming, but I always wanted to get into it. So once I finally built it, I started playing League of Legends on my laptop, and that was great, getting all that going. But man, PUBG was so much fun when it first came out. It was early access game. It had all this, the games were quick. You were only set to keep playing the game if you were still alive. Once you're dead, it's over. Start the next one. But man, did they when they didn't even update. The updates were just adding more things.
And they didn't even bug fix. That's the worst.
Yeah, bug fixes are the worst. Most you would learn from one of the greatest games that have been made in the last decade of Skyrim, of how they had so many bugs when it first came out, and they fixed it, and now it's one of the best games ever. They didn't add stuff until they got DLCs for it later on.
That's PUBG's biggest failure, in my opinion.
Yes,
is
I agree.
Their focus on adding new stuff before the game was ready. Let's create a new map. Let's create all these new guns. Let's create all this crap nobody wants. They just want the game to work.
Yep, pretty much.
And not only that, they have, Miramar, the second map they made, the desert map. Oh my gosh, it just doesn't work at times.
Dude, my frames, whenever that map released, my frames were 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
And my computer runs everything else at least 60. Most of the time, 90 to 120.
So I have a EVGA 1070, and I struggle with getting 20 FPS.
Yeah. And they didn't even
sometimes.
optimize the graphics until the game had been out for a year, and so it didn't really even matter how good your PC was. You still the graphics didn't look better. It didn't matter.
Wait. It's optimized? What?
They did optimize it, yeah, when they released it.
Oh, wow.
So you
Sure
can
does.
run it at different graphic settings and it will look different. Before, if you notice,
Yeah.
the only thing it would add was less blurriness. Now
Yeah.
it actually looks different. But personally, if they would fix PUBG, they would make good updates. They would make cool skins and cool gun skins and stuff like that for it. I would play that game. But
they made gun skins. That's one thing that I did like about it.
but the skins are
think it-
ugly.
Yeah, some of them are.
Is there a skin you like in that game?
There is one that I like, and I actually got it.
If they would just look at CS:GO and what they've done with the community created skins and just be
Oh yeah.
hey, community, make skins. All right, we're gonna put them all in the
There you
game.
go.
Now you
And
can
now
pay
Steam-
for them.
And now Steam gets money from people trading Dragon Lore skins.
Exactly. There's so much more money to be
$2,000.
made. And I was watching one of the biggest streamers today. I think it was Vis. Yeah, he had a UMP, and it was just bright orange. I was like, this guy who plays this game constantly would have all the skins he would want. This is his choice. This bright orange. It's nothing on it. It's literally just makes the gun orange. I'm like, what? How is it even? That's not a skin.
I have
Dipped
two
it in a
of those.
paint bucket, and we're like, here's my UMP.
I have it on my M4 and then a shotguns. And it's just ugly. I hate it.
I just don't understand how, because even Call of Duty figured out we're gonna make cool
Right.
skins, and then people are gonna want to level up and get stuff.
Let's get gold.
Yeah,
Gold
what?
snipers, guys. Diamond snipers. Let's go.
Skins have been around for so long, and PUBG failed so drastically with making them. I don't
It did.
get it.
It's a game that peaked when it came out. Basically, is what.
Yeah,
it
and
is.
it pretty much just progressively got worse.
Mhm.
100%. I can't think of any point where the game and I mean it's at its best point now. They've done a good job, but it's too late. Fortnite already killed you. And I was talking to my brother about this today on this subject. When the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 one comes out and it's the realistic battle royale, it's probably gonna kill PUBG.
Yeah.
Unless it's garbage, unless they do what PUBG did and make it terrible. It's gonna be the realistic one that probably takes over.
Mhm.
So
And
I
all
think
that money is down the drain.
PUBG
I
kinda missed their
can't
window.
complain a whole lot about PUBG because I ended up getting the black leather jacket when it was expensive and sold it on the Steam market. So that was pretty nice. But I just don't play the game anymore. It's just not as fun. I have a couple friends that still play it and they think it's fun. I don't know, man. And the group of people that I played it with, they're not around as much anymore. I was pretty decent at it. That
It's a
was a
fun
game that I could
game.
hop on. that's a game I could hop on in solos and get 10, 12 kills a game.
And
you
the
know?
skill in that game is the skill I like. Like, it's skill at shooting, it's skill at decision making. Whereas in Fortnite, it's like building.
If
All
you
the
can-
skill
if
is
you
based
can
around
build faster.
build, right?
Fortnite's
Because
too fast paced for me.
when I watch people play Fortnite, I never see them like have these long range sniper fights or anything like that. It's literally like they run at each other or they use their trampolines at each other and they shotgun each other down. And I'm like, that isn't fun for me. I don't want to just run at people's faces and shotgun them. Like, sniping is like
Right.
my favorite part about shooters, and like I feel like it's just pointless in Fortnite. But I could be wrong. Maybe I just haven't played it enough or watched it enough. But
See, for me, I never
Building
played PUBG on PC. I only played on Xbox.
Oh, I'm sorry.
was it a hot pile of garbage on Xbox? I never played it.
Yeah, it was. The buildings would load
So
in.
bad.
Hey, full
It was
release though,
bad.
full release. It wasn't early
Yeah.
access. It was a full release game. It was ready.
It was rough.
That was the
It's
meme
only
that
gotten better.
me and my brother and a group of friends had for a while. Like, oh, this is a full release game, right? Yeah, this is a full release game.
Oh,
Like, there was one game where we played and we like did one of those like handbrake turns, and whenever we stopped, it just like flung him out of the vehicle. Like, he didn't
Wow.
jump out. It like I saw him in the vehicle and then he was just on the other side of like the city and he had 1 health, and I was like, I can't revive you. I'm sorry. I wish I could. Like,
You're done.
he just teleported and died, and I was like, oh, well, this is a good bug. This game definitely is full release ready for sure.
That's funny.
So, but any final thoughts on Ninja, Fortnite, Battle Royales before we move on to the next topic, which is still kind of the same thing?
Yeah, it's basically still the same thing. I mean, we kind of touched on it. And another thing, like, for any like smaller streamers that are sitting there watching, like, Fortnite is not a game that you sit there and you get yourself popular on. Like, that's like, I understand if you want to play it and it's fun, that's great. But don't get into it.
Don't
for the sake
expect
of getting...
to get the money and get the viewers
Yeah.
off of it. Play it because you
Yeah.
enjoy it, not because
Yeah.
you think you're gonna explode. Because you're not. Ninja already did that.
Because everybody's watching Ninja.
It's
now,
too
you
late.
know?
Yeah.
If it's not Ninja, it's Myth or it's Wildcat or it's it's just a
Yeah.
few people. Even League streamers, they'll notice that their numbers aren't as high because people aren't watching them.
Yeah,
But
PewDiePie went from like
Fortnite.
50,000 usually was a good day for him to now he gets about 20 to 30. A good day for him is like 30, 35 from what I've seen.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if he hits 40, it's because literally no one's streaming Fortnite.
hmm So
But yeah, next topic. So we had the FPS craze, we had the MMO madness, the MOBA takeover, and now we've got the Battle Royale takeover. First of all, just kind of thinking about this topic a little bit more, I want to kind of discuss a little bit what it took to jump from those genres. So first we had the FPSs. Why did we love FPSs, first of all? Anybody? Because I played a lot of them, but I'll let you guys go first on that if you want.
if you're all right with me starting crazed, I have a few things
For it.
to talk about this because this is about all I ever did as a kid. So my parents were never a big they didn't want us to have video games, and so they eventually caved and let us get Game Boys. We started with Pokemon, but those violent games. Oh no, those kids that play those games, they go crazy.
I feel like we lived
so,
the same life.
Yeah, family friends had Halo on an Xbox. And the craziest thing was the fact that you could play with people together and attack each other on the same screen. Like GoldenEye, 007, GoldenEye 007 was a great game. Split screen for its time was very clean. The only thing you had to deal with was screen cheating.
Mhm.
And that continued throughout with Call of Duty. And I don't remember how much split screen there was in Call of Duty, but I know for Halo you can get the 4 people. And that was just a way for people to get together. So there's been one theme for all these big, groups of games is not single player games. Some of the best games ever made are single player games, but the biggest crazes of video games are the ones where you can play with a bunch of people.
Mhm.
You know?
Wow. For sure.
So for Halo, you would have your 4v4 or 4 players playing one screen. If you wanted to have a LAN party with a bunch of people, you could have up to I think it was in Halo 3, you can go up to 16 people
Mhm.
in one LAN, and then when you got to Reach, you can get up to 20 people or whatnot. It was insane the amount of people you could get playing in one building. It was awesome. No title.
Yeah, there was no. I did it in Streamlabs OBS. I swear, Streamlabs OBS doesn't like it when you change your stream key because it
Feels
didn't update the title or the communities or the game or any of that stuff. It was just like,
Yeah.
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 There's nothing.
And-
I just noticed it was blank. I'm like, oh, Okay.
So as we're talking about the FPS mode, I'm just gonna ask right now, Panda and Craze, were you Halo or were you Call of Duty? Because those were the games. That was
Halo.
it.
I would have
Halo.
been Halo if I would have had people to play with. But honestly, like I didn't get in Halo till Halo 3, so I kind of missed the Halo 1,
Okay.
Halo 2 days. But Call of
Yeah.
Duty for sure was what I put more time into because I had more people that wanted to play Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So and then you got these guys playing Halo, Call of Duty, then the big old battle. Oh, Halo's better, or Call of Duty's player. Truth be told, if you were a Halo player, you naturally were a better gamer than Call of Duty players. Just saying.
I think depending on the Call of Duty you played. I think if you played
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, you were a good
Yeah.
gamer. But after that, they just made those like we're gonna like pop ourselves up on Mountain Dew and run at each other. Like that's what they turned those games into. But like Modern Warfare 2, like it took skill for sure.
Yeah.
But then like the 360 quick scope children came into the game and
I remember those days.
ruined it.
But
It was
once
destroyed
Halo,
by hackers.
oh yeah, it was terrible. Once Halo 2 came out, everybody's got their taste for their Call of Duty, and they got their taste for their Halo 1. The God Pistol 1v1 1v1 pistols only hang 'em high. Halo 2 Online with the Xbox Live was the next big thing, and it just continued with that. People being able to play online, somebody you don't even have to invite them over to come play games, and they'll be able to play with you. Was something so crazy, and everybody's flipping out about it. And then so those games go through, and then I'll let somebody else talk about MMOs after me.
Oh,
you guys can talk
I'll
about your
pick it
FPS
up
because
from here.
MMOs are not my I played a lot of SWTOR and I played a lot of RuneScape. Those were my MMOs.
If you didn't play
RuneScape.
WoW,
So,
you're not a
I
real
love it.
gamer. You
Yeah.
didn't
The only
play
MMO I
WoW,
ever
you're
played
not.
was RuneScape. That's the only MMO I ever played.
So for FPS for me, I think the big reason it caught on and the big reason it blew up is basically exactly what you said. It was the natural progression of playing LANs to online play. So when they brought online to those games, it was like it was already set up and ready for it to go. You already had
and they were
multiplayer in the games, and so you just made it online, and that made it that much better. And there really wasn't any other game like that was set up and ready to be played online so like naturally. I think was the big thing for that. And I said I played a ton of Modern Warfare 2, a ton of Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops, and then after that it just kind of died for me. Like I didn't like Black Ops 2. I didn't like really any of the Call of Duties that came after 3 and Black Ops. So
See, I liked Black Ops 2, but that was the last one that I enjoyed. No, I think I kind of enjoyed Ghost.
I didn't like Ghosts.
I liked Black Ops 2
So-
for a little while, and then I was like, wait, I'm just playing Modern Warfare, but like not as
Eventually
good.
it became the point where I only played Zombies Horde mode was the bomb.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's
so
true.
much.
That is what kept those games alive for a little while. I think was the zombie mode for sure. But
Yeah.
moving into MMOs, like you guys, I played a ton of RuneScape growing up.
Hey.
I still play it.
Yeah,
I still play it too.
that was like the reason I started playing it is so funny too, because like it was like the way you talk to your friends like back then. Like besides the instant messengers, like you would get on that and you would just play RuneScape together. So like I played a ton of that, and then the natural progression from that, whenever I got a good enough computer and got good enough internet in high school, was WoW. And I've sunk probably way too. I don't even know what it is. Like I could probably pull it up and find out, but I don't really want to know how many hours I've sunk into WoW. Just to kind of explain, I have like, I think before the level cap just got raised, I had like all of the classes but 3, I think, max level. So yeah, I played a ton of WoW, and I think it was just the natural progression for people that didn't want the competitive aspect. And my friends that still play WoW and that still love WoW and that still play, those games is because they aren't really competitive gamers. So
Yeah,
they like the multi. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, you're finishing your statement. You go first.
Okay,
sir.
I was gonna say they like the multiplayer, they like the competitive games, but they aren't super competitive people. So they want a game that they can play with their friends, and they like that PVE aspect of it. Like obviously you can be competitive in WoW with PvP, but it's not the main component of the game.
So my biggest thing when it came to the MMOs I played, and I'll name you the 3 that I played a good amount, and one that I played a little bit, was I played RuneScape for hours. I've had multiple level 99s, which comes nothing close to any other thing. But my biggest thing with RuneScape is I could put it on a separate tab or on the side that I could work on school and do this other stuff at the same time, or watch TV, and it was just easy,
That's what they
And-
didn't realize when they progressed to the new RuneScape. Is the reason we liked it is because it was simple, but there was a
Yeah.
ton to do. You know.
Yep.
Yeah, there was a ton to do, and you could do something else at the same time. That was the fun of it. The other ones that I played were, don't laugh at me, Wizard 101. I played a lot of that game. I'm not gonna lie.
Get that child's play out of here.
I hopped on it not long ago. Actually, it was.
I sound like an alpha gamer. I played WoW. I played the real MMO.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I never played WoW. I played a lot of SWTOR. I remember making characters max level before leaving the first planet, or before going to the next planet. That was the most.
That one
hilarious
was
thing.
good until they made it very pay heavy. When they went
Yeah.
free to play,
It was really good.
was pay to be like, but then so they went free to play and you could
Yeah.
play it, do everything pretty much, and then pretty
Yeah.
quick after that it was pay to do pretty much everything.
Yeah, basically. is
That's
it
what
was.
ruined that game, in my opinion.
And then the other one that I tried to play, I just could never get into it because I thought it was going to be such a great idea was ESO.
I thought
Oh,
the same
man.
thing, and then it just
Yeah. So the best thing about that was the fact that it was going to be a Elder Scrolls feel in an MMO, and I thought that was the coolest thing because playing Skyrim or playing Oblivion, those are the two Elder Scrolls that I've played. Playing those with your friends would be awesome,
Yeah.
And they got real close to it, and then the pay to win stuff popped up. I mean, it's just microtransactions and making people pay to be able to play and pay to win in like ways more than just buying the game outright. It's just not fun.
And
Like I like the idea of making it free to play
Right.
and giving special things, but not like items that make you godlike in the game.
yeah.
That's just
Sure.
that needs to be earned through raids and stuff like that.
Something
Yeah.
interesting, kind of you talking about ESO, it made me kind of think of this. So whenever I'm playing like ESO, I'm just like, this doesn't feel like Elder Scrolls to me. It feels like a WoW clone with
Mhm.
their skin.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
don't know if there's like this concept. I don't know if someone's thought about this. I'm sure someone has. But like, is the first like one you play that you really love, does it ruin like what comes after for you? Because like this happened to me with Call of Duty. Like I don't really enjoy shooters anymore. With Modern Warfare 2, it happened. And then with like WoW, obviously I can't enjoy another MMO. I just can't. I can't find one I like. Like I would just like I would rather be playing WoW. It's just better. And that may just be because it's a better game. I don't know. But it happens for me with League. Like I play these other MOBAs and I enjoy them. Like I enjoyed Heroes of the Storm. Really, the main reason I played that one is because I was better at it than the other ones. But like I still keep coming back to League and playing it, even though I play like Smite. I still keep coming back to League and playing it, and I'm like, man, is
Because I'm here.
is
Duh.
it just the fact that like these games like just are so good, or is it that because they're my first experience with the genre that it like ruins the rest of them for me? Any thoughts on that?
I know
Completely
for
agree.
me,
Hannah.
yeah, I agree with him as well.
Yeah, cosmetics
regarding-
is the big thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind paying for that. So like, and if we're on the topic of a little like going, not trying to break off of what you said, but just
Oh, you're
finishing on the topic of paying for a game after actually paying for the game or being able to play it. What was it? Battlefront 2?
Oh my gosh.
That's the worst
Oh my
one.
God.
I can't believe they even had a
Oh,
player base
man.
at all with what they did.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
So
We're past that world. Like game designers, you can't do that anymore. Sorry.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're not
definitely.
taking it anymore. We're just not.
EA.
You've had enough.
It amazes me that
If-
Blizzard can still do it with WoW. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. It amazes me
Yeah.
that they can continue to keep the model they have, where you pay monthly and pay for expansions.
I know for a fact that the publicity in the beginning of it and the amount of money that they made from whoever wanted to be good at the game at the very beginning for Battlefront 2 might have been nice, but I find it likely that's going to be the peak of publicity EA is going to get, and sales are going to be dropping for those games from now on.
Mhm.
And it's likely we might be losing every game that EA makes, except for maybe sports games. They might still buy sports games, FIFA and
FIFA will
Madden.
keep them
those-
alive.
Yeah, so
I hate Madden's trash.
Madden's trash.
Yeah. Well, and their NBA
I'm-
games were terrible forever. Like
Oh
they've
my
never
God.
even made a baseball game in forever. Like
Yeah.
they just stopped making. Like I don't know how they get FIFA so right and do it so well, and then everything else they put out is just trash. I'm like,
Right. Thank you.
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Battlefield at times was fun. The
Oh,
idea
yeah,
you could
Battlefield-
destroy the world was cool,
But Battlefield was good because they didn't do the big role in it. It was Frostbite and Dice,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, it was
They
Dice Frostbite, yeah.
yeah, they did that game, and then EA just kind of slapped their name on it. At least that's my opinion. But like, I'm afraid. Like, speaking of what they did to games, I'm afraid that Activision's going to do that to Blizzard. Like, they're making WoW more of a cash grab. Overwatch is 100% a cash grab. I don't care what anyone says. Any game that has that awful chess system like that, cash grab. Don't care. They took Heroes' good model, made it a cash grab. They made Diablo 3 pretty terrible. It took them an expansion to make that game good, and then they stopped making it better, and so it just went back to being bad again.
So if you want to talk about Activision, we can't not bring up Destiny. Okay?
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
Did you guys play Destiny 1 at all? And
I
like, how
didn't.
much did you
Yes.
play?
I heard it was
How much
really
did you
good.
play
I
it,
just never had a
Yeah.
PlayStation, so I never
I
played
love Destiny 1. I really
What did you play? Like, when did you start? Because
the beginning, day one.
you were a year one. Okay.
Yep.
So Destiny had this great thing that they were really working on, and that was the first year it came out, and they did this kind of like half MMO, half shooter, which I think the gameplay of it in general is very good.
Mm-hmm.
What they promised was not what came out.
Right.
And that was the big issue with it, and that was something that we've always known from Activision is their games are never what they promise. They're like, oh, we got all this content, and I think a friend of mine, we were just talking about this yesterday, is if you look at a publisher's like panel or something, and they're answering questions about the games that they're coming out with, you hear the word content at least 20 times in there. They just say the word content. They don't give you anything. They just say content.
It's a buzzword.
You know, it's a buzzword that goes through. You know, each time you hear it, you take a shot, kind of thing. You know, so with that, you got. Or where was I going with that? I totally just lost my train of thought. Destiny, yes. So Destiny 1 was great in the sense that the first year was all about the god weapons you could get. You know, there were some weapons that were, if you earned them or you got them in a random roll, you couldn't buy it. You know, it was like you were let in on everything. There were a lot of times you couldn't even go and do the one raid that was in the game without having the Gjallarhorn / I don't know how you guys want to pronounce it. Okay, I call it the Gjallarhorn.
I love that
The
one.
Jellohorn sometimes.
Jellohorn.
And then you had to have the Black Spindle. No, Black Spindle was second year. And Icebreaker. Those two weapons.
dude.
If you didn't have those, you guys were not allowed in anywhere.
And for PvP, the Thorn was essential before the
It was Thorn and Last
Yeah.
Word. Those
Yep.
two weapons. Like if you didn't have a
Man.
hand cannon, you were not allowed to be on a trials team.
Yep.
And it was just like you had to play the game to get into the really good stuff, like a lot of MMOs.
Like
are.
WoW,
Yeah.
until they made it a
Yes.
cash grab where you can
Yeah.
pay $60 to be max level.
So like, yeah. So that was the thing. Like when
that
you
makes
when
me
you would play
cringe.
WoW, and when I would play SWTOR, you know, you would get to the max level, and then the fun stuff happens. It
Mhm.
wasn't like most games where you go through all the stuff, get to the max level, and then the game's over.
That's what was so good
No.
about MMOs, though, is the
Yeah.
end game was the best
Right.
part of the game.
Once you did all the work, there were so many more fun things that you could do to make yourself even stronger without the looking at the level bar, you know. But we get to see the year 2 of Destiny. They introduced this Eververse stuff, which was the random crates that you could get, you know that Overwatch uses basically, but it was all cosmetic, you know. So that was okay. And then Destiny 2 came out, and there was a lot of I gave it so much praise that first week it came out because I hadn't gotten to any of the end game stuff.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. I beat the main story in about I think I ended up beating it the second day I had it just because I wasn't really trying to beat too much of it. But it was just insane the amount of stuff that they focused on the Eververse pay in-game stuff and the skins. Like there was no content after there was nothing to do after the game. The first game did so good about what you could do after the game. We had 3 raids.
Which is what an MMO is supposed to be.
You could do
I love
difficult strikes that you would have to work as a team and deal with these different skulls that Halo used to have, or Halo still has, but what they used to use in Halo, because Bungie is the one that started Halo. And that was so nice. And this one, it's easy. You know, you just breeze through it all. Nothing's tough.
Yeah, I agree.
And then they had the audacity to come out with DLC. The first DLC they came out with, where they had spent so much time talking about this one character in the first game, which we were all excited about. Like, I don't know what Destiny fan wasn't excited about Osiris, the character.
Yeah.
And then, like, it was like a 7-mission update, and then 2/3, I repeat, 2/3 of all the content, you know, in quotations, was Eververse pay for cosmetic stuff.
Gosh.
A $20, repeat, $20 DLC for pay to win stuff, or pay to look good stuff.
Yep.
It was
Glad I didn't play
it's
it.
just it's insane. You would have loved it in year one.
These are the things
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah, Year
about
One was
Destiny
awesome.
2, though. Like, that's why I didn't get it. Is because I was like, oh, I'm going to play it and be so excited. And then, like, the PC release was 6 months later, and I heard about how ticked off all the console players were, so I was like, nah, I'm good. Like, I don't need it.
Yeah, I don't know why the console players were so upset. PC, it just ran better. That was the nice thing, is that the PvP was still good, but that was it. You had PvP,
Mhm.
and there wasn't much you got from the PvP this time. You used to be able to get god tier weapons from the PvP.
Yeah.
You couldn't anymore, you know. And it's just stuff like that. It's just when I remember when games were about having fun, and the companies would make money, but they would make money letting people have fun. And
Yep.
Fortnite is the first game in a long time that we've had that's not doing it squarely for the money, because they're so popular.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to
So-
worry about.
Video
Make it-
games, like you said, started out as a way for people to have fun, and then they became like this, like with Blizzard, they became this creative like art project for them almost.
Yeah.
Like, we want to make something beautiful. That was like Blizzard's big thing. And then now we're in this world of, man, there's so much money in this. We can put
What
out
can
this.
we get from microtransactions?
We can put out this
What-
early access garbage, get people to pay much money for it, and then not fix it and be like, oh, sorry, and then move on to the next
Oh.
project. You know, like, that's the world we live in with gaming, and it's scary, and I don't like it. But that's a topic for another time that we could probably add to the list of topics we can discuss another time. So what do we think caused... I mean, I guess between MMOs and MOBAs, you could put RTSs in there. I didn't play RTSs just because they're so difficult, and I was not a PC gamer at that time, really, other than my MMOs. Everything else I played on console. So RTSs pretty much took out MMOs, I would say. I mean, they probably more took out the shooters than the MMOs, because that's that
Yeah.
competitive crowd. Like, the gaming world was split in the competitive and then the don't want to be competitive
casual-
crowd.
the casual.
Yeah, the casual
So,
crowd.
so I got a big thing on this because I've done a lot. I'm like you. I do a lot of competitive gaming watching, and we both play a lot of League of Legends. So we're both. I have a feeling we'll probably have more to talk about MOBAs than Crazed will. I'm not sure how much.
I've never played a MOBA before.
Yeah,
Try it
so
sometime, man.
that'll do it.
Yeah.
So the big thing about FPSs when it first came out is how much you could play with your friends. Well, eventually MLG became a thing, Major League Gaming.
Mhm.
Oh, those were the days when you'd see the people that were so good at Halo playing on their consoles and playing on the controllers, and they have all these headsets sitting next to each other, and they're like, okay, we're going to be the best team, and we're going to win, you know?
Mhm.
That's where Ninja, back to him, started playing those Halo MLG. It was one of the coolest times. It wasn't something that I was really into, but I did have a friend who was into it, and he would show it, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Then MOBAs came around, and that it spawned with Dota, of course, as a mod.
Warcraft
for the
3
game.
mod, yep.
Warcraft 3 for mod, that's right.
Mm.
And oh my gosh, that's just crazy how they took that and turned it into a 5v5 destroy
So
the
I
Nexus
have a
kind of
good
thing.
a good theory on this. So
Go ahead.
shooters, you could do the individual skill, you could be very good individually, but eventually your team had to do something or you were done. Like, you
Or
could not
had to-
kill everyone
you had
by
to
yourself.
Outplay.
Yeah.
You had to outplay everyone.
And then RTS has come along, oh, it's me versus the other person. I don't have to rely on another team. So I think that's why they got big. It's like, it's all on me. I get to be the superstar. I get to be the awesome player. And then MOBAs had a lot of that, because when MOBAs started out, they were very much your best player versus the other team's best player. Whoever is better is going to carry the game and win. And now we've reverted back to like the very
The team-based.
team-based play, and a lot of people are stopping playing MOBAs because of that. I think we
And-
all naturally have that, especially as competitive people. We want to be the superstar, we want to be the best, we want to be very good. And so I think that honestly is a big reason why we've transitioned back into the battle royales, because it's a lot of it, especially if you just play duos, if you don't play squads, is I can carry, I can be the best, especially because most of the streamers either play duos or they play by themselves a lot of the time. So I think it's like we're going in this cycle of like
it's a continuous cycle that
we
keeps
want to
going.
be very good individually, and then game developers make their change their games to where we can't be, and then so we go and play something else where we're very good individually, and then the game developer ruins that aspect of it. And it's like, I don't know, I think that's why we've gotten to where we are with BRs. And then another good point that I've heard, and this was on Beyond the Rift with QtPie and all them, I don't want to rip this off and make it my own thought. They were talking about how like hard it is to be good and know everything that's in a MOBA. Like you have to know all the champions, you have to know all the items, you have to know the builds, you have to know where to be on the map, you have to know, what skills have what interactions. Yeah, it's constantly changed, so there's more to learn every like 2 weeks to a month. And Fortnite is very simple in theory. Like, you have your character, you pick up your guns, you shoot at people. Like, the building mechanic, we can get, like, that's hard. Yeah, that part of it is difficult. But the core mechanics of that game where I'm just shooting at you is very simple, and it's all, like, I can very, like, focus on this one specific thing and get better at it. Whereas MOBAs are so many things to focus on. And so I think their point was, like, our culture is moving more to that, where it's like, I don't want to have to learn a lot, I don't want to have to do a lot. I'm very instant gratification focused, and I think BRs kind of play into that, because it's like, I really just have to learn to shoot, especially if you play PUBG. You just have to learn where to drop and how to shoot well, and a lot of that can be compensated for with good tech. Like, if you have a good monitor, good mouse, good keyboard, all that stuff, then from there it's just doing it over and over and over. Yeah.
Individual skill, knowing when to build, that kind of stuff,
Yeah, and that's one thing I think people like about Fortnite is it adds that extra aspect where there's something else for them to get good at. It's not just the shooting.
It's the idea if I put the work in, I'm going to be good, and it's not going to be... The game doesn't glitch as often, so there's not a lot of times that if you mess up, except, for shotguns where you hit somebody in the head and do 9 damage and they hit you in the body for 150. The likelihood of you requiring a better teammate to carry you is not as high. It's just like, it appeals, like, it goes back to, when the big group of people that are playing the games are a younger crowd. When we were younger, because most of us are around the same age, I would imagine. I know me and Panda are. I don't know how old Crazed is. When we're younger, we're all about, I'm going to be better than my friends, And so the big crowd that's playing Fortnite right now is probably 2/3, or at least half of it is
kids and teenagers.
Kids and teenagers, yeah. So, most of them want to be the best of their friends, or, be the best around like no one ever was. That's why we love Pokemon so much, because that was our game to be the best at. And that's why we had Halo and we had Call of Duty. We were the best at those games, and they didn't really need team as much when it first started. So, when it becomes a team game, we enjoy it as a team, working as a team, but our human nature is to play
individualistic,
to be the best that we can. How am I better than you, kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then companies are just taking advantage of the people that are willing to pay to be the best. And if they give you that option, the people that have the money are going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be way better than everybody for a while. How about that? So
How about that?
So we went through the kind of progression of each of those games. Mitch, do you have any thoughts on that progression of kind of where we've went with gaming before we go on to the what it would take to be to BR, what would be next?
I can't really think. I guess covered a lot of it.
Okay.
Honestly.
So the only kind of final thought I had on that progression is I thought after MOBAs we were going to have the MOBA shooter. Like, I thought it was going to be like the Overwatch, the Paladins, there's been other ones like Law Breakers or something, like there's been other ones. I thought we were moving in that direction. Yeah, Paragon is
it's more Smite, but yeah.
Yeah, those are a little bit different because they're not first person, I think. I'll classify it this way: the first person MOBA shooters. Like, take Call of Duty, take a MOBA, make them have a baby. That's
the top down MOBA. You have a third person MOBA, and then first person MOBA, basically.
I thought that's where we were going after MOBAs, because Overwatch was coming out and it was going to be huge. This big game, it's going to be crazy. Like, and then BRs kind of came out of nowhere for me, because we've had H1Z1 forever, and like, it's never been big, it's never been popular, and that's because, honestly, just because H1Z1 didn't make a high quality game and they didn't improve it enough. And so then PUBG came out and we're like, this is what this can be.
More quality.
Yeah. And then PUBG like did what H1Z1 did. They rested on it and they didn't make it better. And then
They just
Fortnite's
let it
like,
sit.
all right, here's our chance. So what do you guys think it would take to move from the BR genre? Like, what can you see, like aspects of what I can think of the genre would have to have? Has to be very instant gratification based. You have to be able to jump into it, be decent at it immediately. It has to be free to play. Like, I don't think you can make something that's pay to play anymore that will beat any of these free to play games.
Not in this time. Like, it has to be sneakier, you know?
Right.
I think it has to be something, obviously, multiplayer. It has to be. And it has to have big elements of individual skill. Like, I think people for sure want to shine, be superstars, like that type of stuff. And there's other aspects, but I can't think of them right now. I'll let you guys talk while I think more on that.
So what I believe is going to have to happen before any of a new game pop up is first of all, Fortnite's going to die at some point. League of Legends, we never thought it was going to die. It's starting to die to an extent.
Might be an 8-year to 10-year project there, but
yeah,
that's
League is still going,
and they're
they're
still big, and they're the perfect example of constantly improving your game, right? Like, they didn't do what PUBG has done. They didn't rest on their laurels. They kept trying, at least trying to improve the game. Like, some people don't like where League has gone. You can argue that, whatever, but at least they release consistent patches, add constant new things, trying to make the game better. So
they also make it to be a great esport, which is
that's
what
game
does eventually.
Aetherios just said in chat.
Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Esports is the biggest thing. Yeah. So if you have something that makes football, you got your football, you've got your soccer or football, and then you've got basketball and all this. Those will eventually die at some point.
Yeah.
They'll take a while, but they'll die at some point. But
they've been around for so long.
Yeah, the NFL's running itself out at some point.
Yeah,
here in a little while.
Baseball has been around for 100 years. Not like huge, but
right.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
But when it comes to the competitive nature, everybody wants something like that to stick around. They want to be able to etch their name in a legacy that lasts time or forever. What they can.
Mm-hmm.
But in order for the battle royale to stop, there's going to be first thing that's going to happen. There's going to be more esports. That's what's going to have to happen first. It's going to start, and then it's going to start becoming more team based. I've already started to see it a little bit in the hop into a battle royale game, 2 teams, duos in a squad, and see if you get more kills than your squad mates.
Yep.
That, and when you get to the team base, it's going to start to be, oh well, my team is better than the best team, and now there's no way for me to win. That's why a lot of times I get so mad playing League of Legends. You blame your jungler, Mr. Panda over here, blaming our junglers all day today.
I do.
And
that's because jungle's a hard role, and the people that don't understand it need to stop playing it.
Yeah, it is hard. Well, it's not hard. It's hard to. Anyway,
it's hard to make good decisions. It's hard to make.
We're not going down into that rabbit hole. But when it gets more team based, the next game that's individualistic is going to start. That's how it happens. It's a consistent thing that we've seen throughout history. Just, what can we as individuals do ourselves,
to stand out? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of piggybacking off of that, the esports thing, my biggest thing that I think will hurt the BRs is they're not super esport friendly, right? Like,
yeah,
it's based
they're gonna
on
try, but it's hard.
Basically, if you drop in the best place, you get the best guns, like, you win. Like, or
that's true.
If the circle comes to you, you win. Like, there's so many things that are out of your control that it's like kind of hard for a fan experience. Like I Will Dominate was talking about this on Beyond the Rift too. He was like, well, what if the guy gets 25 kills, their team gets like 50 kills, and they lose because the one guy that the circle came to had already built up this mountain like that they couldn't go through. He gets 4, their squad gets 4 kills and they win. Like, that happens, and that's, for the fan, that's really like unsatisfying to watch. Like, oh, he just sat in this one place the whole time and won.
It's waited, yeah.
Sweet. Like, that's so cool. Whereas if you go into a game of League of Legends, you honestly feel like you have control over the outcome. Like, you have control over your own destiny. Like, the only RNG in the game is crit. And, like, if they crit you, it's like, oh, well. And then they made crit to the point where you get 100% crit. So then it's not even critting. It's like, okay, they're guaranteed going to crit me.
Right. Going off what you said, Panda, I think that's why I like Fortnite in PUBG, because even when I land somewhere, I don't know what's gonna happen. So I guess it adds that kind of excitement, like, oh, or that disappointment, like, hey, I might get this, or crap, this opponent's gonna get this. So it adds that kind of randomness or that mystery behind it. That's kind of why I enjoy that aspect of the game.
But as a player, how is it worse for you when you land somewhere and you don't get a gun you want and you die, or is it that much on the opposite side of the spectrum where it's awesome when you're like, oh, I got the good gun, now I'm gonna kill everyone? Like, does it feel worse when you don't get the gun you want and you die, or does it feel that much better? Like, so I don't know. It's just so swingy,
Right.
and like for the spectator, that's something you have to take into account. Like, oh, my favorite player dropped and he got a pistol, and the other guy got a shotgun. Well, my favorite player is out. Like, well, Ninja's dead. Great, that sucks. Now I don't want to watch this anymore.
Right.
And it's hard to spectate like BRs too, because you've got to watch two teams and you've got to like have the top down so you can see where they are, but like doing it from their perspective isn't great either unless there's a gunfight going on. Like, I've watched PUBG esports and I'm like, this is ugly. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, this looks terrible.
They tried,
Yeah, they did, and I know Fortnite's going to try. They're putting $100 million into tournaments this year, so
That's crazy.
if anyone can do it, they can with all the money they have. But I just don't know how esport friendly the game genre is, which in my opinion is what will make it more streamer friendly, but not more like longevity. Like, I have the chance to come up and be a pro gamer for these young kids, and so I don't know if there's got to be something that comes along that's less RNG based, that's more individual skill based, that's more esport friendly. Like, something has to come and like siphon off viewership from these games. Something will eventually. I don't exactly know what it'll be, and we won't know it until we see it. I think virtual reality will be a big one when we start actually developing that and making it good. I think virtual reality will kill everything we're playing currently right now. I just think we'll get to that point.
Yeah, we start playing League of Legends
as the character. Yeah, like
that would be so cool.
Insane. Like, if you guys have watched Ready Player One, like, obviously that's like the end all be all for gaming, but when will we get there? Who knows? Like, it could be
I hope
50, 100 years.
I kind of hope it's in our lifetime.
Yeah, I know, because that movie was amazing.
We could be 60 and be younger in the virtual world and be able to do stuff that we wouldn't be able to do. That kind of stuff would be awesome to do.
Yeah. So what will kill a BR? I don't know. I just know what I think it will have to have. I think aspects of it we can talk about for sure.
I think it'll be more team-based BR is not going to work out very well. It's going to be
something even more individualistic, in my opinion, and less RNG based. Like League of Legends without as much to learn. It's gonna have to be something like that. Like a game like League of Legends where your destiny is in your own hands. You can carry without relying on your teammates, and you don't have to worry about like that esport awfulness of those games. So it's gonna be something like that I think will eventually do it. But again, I don't know what it's going to be or what it's going to look like. And who knows? I mean, Overwatch League is kind of popping off right now. That may eventually do it. I mean,
they did take two big shoutcast or broadcast workers from League of Legends.
Well, that's Riot's fault.
Yeah.
They ticked them off and didn't pay them.
I love the Korean guy. What was his name?
Monte Cristo.
Monte Cristo. He's so funny.
Those two are the best casting duo of all time.
Also, what needs to happen in Overwatch League is Dallas Fuel needs to get the heck. What the heck? Come on, guys. This is pathetic. My gosh, it's bad. So I just remember watching the first Dallas Fuel game against the Korean team, but most of their team is Korean. The Dallas team is, and the fans in LA were chanting USA, USA. He just breaks the entire thing, and it just memes it all, and just goes, guys, you can't chant USA when you only have one United States player on your team.
Speaking of that, if you want to watch an interesting video that kind of goes into the Korean aspect of the esports world and why they're so much better than Westerners, you should go check out Thorin's YouTube channel, and it's a video with him and LS. It's like what's holding the West back. It's interesting. I'm not going to go into it now. You should definitely watch it if you're interested in esports at all. If you guys are interested in esports at all, go check out Thorin's channel. Like, he does real solid content. But I think that's all we have on this topic. Do we want to go ahead and move on to our other ones? Do we want to save them for another show? It has been an hour of us rambling. It's up to you guys if you have the time.
I'm good to keep going for a little bit longer. It's
been
a fun little ramble. I enjoy it.
All right. So the next one we have is breaking away from kind of the gaming aspect, I guess at least a little bit. There are still games of these. But DC versus Marvel. Which superhero universe do you like better, and why?
I personally like Marvel a lot more, and it's only because that's all my family would watch is Marvel movies. We never really watched DC until Batman Begins. Is that what it's called? The first
Yeah,
Batman movie.
Yeah.
That was the first movie I saw for DC, or like anything related to DC. I never saw Batman anime series or anything like that.
Mhm.
So I grew up with Marvel. I never read the comics. I was just introduced from the cartoon and the movies, and I really enjoyed them.
Mhm.
So for me, it's Marvel, hands down. Yeah,
So-
like Rock said.
Yeah. So with me, I'm a little bit. I'm not a diehard one or the other. Okay.
Mhm.
I absolutely love some of the superheroes that DC has, but you can't deny that Marvel has done an amazing job with their live action, making superheroes in real life cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, um, the older Batman movies, those a lot of times were very good, and Batman was a good superhero to have.
Please tell
in
me you're not
real
talking
life.
about the like 90s, early 2000 ones. You're talking about like Batman Begins, Dark Knight,
Christian Bale.
Dark Knight
yeah.
Rises.
No,
Yeah.
I was talking. Those ones are good as
Oh.
well, but some of those '90s ones were okay.
Oh, they were
Oh.
so bad. Arnold
Don't worry.
Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Come
not-
on.
I'm not talking about the terrible thing that's called Batman and Robin. Okay.
You're excluding
don't
that
talk
one.
about that one.
Talk about the other
Oh.
ones. No, I didn't really
Yes.
like any of those. I'll be honest. I just did
Some
not.
of them were okay. They weren't the best. I kind of enjoyed Michael Keaton's Batman though, so there's that. Due to the fact that he has gadgets and superpowers, yeah. I
guess that's a fair point.
But I also grew up watching Teen Titans and Batman animated series and all the
Dude,
Justice
Teen
League
Titans.
series.
Whenever we
I
were
love Teen
kids, that
it
show was so good. And then they ruined it with Teen Titans Go.
The show was so emo. I loved
They
it.
took a big dump on it with Teen Titans Go.
Yeah.
Teen Titans
Mhm.
Go is so pointless.
And so like a lot of those shows were really good, especially because of when I grew up. So I enjoyed the animations. I've never been a big comic book person.
I'm
Same.
not either. Yeah.
So my dad was. He grew up.
I think that's
I
where
don't
the
know how
discussion
many.
is closer in the comic book
Yeah.
world than
The discussion
the movie
is
world.
more heated is comics. The movies, Marvel wins hands down. Animated
no.
shows, DC wins hands down. That's just
Yeah.
how I gotta say it.
Yeah.
But
So in my
Yeah.
world, I grew up as like a huge Batman fan. I was just obsessed with Batman as a kid. I always liked DC because of that. And The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker is still
Amazing.
like my favorite movie of all time. I absolutely love that movie. So for me, I'm more of a DC fan, but it's just because of the big like highs of them than more like their whole body of work. Body of work, Marvel's 100% better. And like you make this point, like a lot of Batman's enemies don't have superpowers, but honestly, that's why I like Batman, because it's like if I was rich, I could do that. Like it's more relatable.
True.
Like I don't have to have this
Yeah.
weird random sci-fi accident happen to me to like be super powerful. Plus, it makes him more of like a superhero in my opinion. Like he does all this without the powers that they have. So that's why I've always liked Batman. And the Joker is my favorite villain of all the time, just because he's so crazy and like. It's just a complete chaos, and you never know what's going to happen.
he's never the same Joker either. which is
Exactly.
cool.
Because you can't copy someone else's Joker. You just can't do it. Like, they did their Joker the best. The next person does their Joker the best. The animated ones are super good. Like,
I just say Mark Hamill is the best Joker around. Just-
Yeah, he's beast mode, bro.
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, he was
Uh,
only a voice. Like, let's be honest, he was only a voice. So
Yes, he was
that's a
only a
little
voice.
harder. And that's why I like Heath Ledger the best. Like, his performance, in my opinion, was just amazing, especially since it was like a completely different Joker. I'm not a big fan of the new one. What is that guy's name? Jared Leto?
Jared Leto.
Jared Leto had the potential to be a great Joker, but the problem is that they totally screwed up Suicide Squad's story.
Mhm.
They scrapped the entire story and redid the script within like the last 6 months of making the movie.
Yeah. And honestly, I'll
So-
like with like we'll say like Netflix shows, like the Marvel ones are pretty good, but if you haven't watched Arrow, Flash, what are the other ones?
What? Arrow was
Yeah,
good.
Arrow was I really liked Arrow, honestly. I really liked Flash.
Flash is good.
Even Supergirl, I was like, I'm gonna hate this. I think it's gonna be stupid. I actually really liked Supergirl. I thought it was actually pretty well done. The Marvel ones are like Daredevil's really good. I haven't watched
Daredevil-
Punisher because I just
Punisher-
haven't.
So I can be kind of a connoisseur of the Marvel Defenders. So I can tell you that
I liked
the
Luke
first
Cage, too.
Daredevil was really good. They just did a lot of hand-to-hand combat, which was really cool. The second Daredevil was more leaning towards the supernatural side of things, which was
Mhm.
kind of odd. Jessica Jones was really good, just based on because each show deals with an issue of like what a average person could deal with.
That's what I like
So
about
like
those. Yeah.
Daredevil was like disabilities and not having a lot of money and being stuck in a very poverty situation, even though he's a lawyer and he's blind, but he
Mhm.
has all these powers to
Yeah, I haven't seen
fight
the
the
Punisher
good.
either.
The Punisher is dealing with demons of the past, dealing with the fact that Frank Castle's wife was killed, which ended up being killed by the people he worked for. Then he killed people, but he killed only bad people. He wouldn't kill any of the there's one part where he was forced to fight a bunch of soldiers, and he didn't kill a single soldier because he knew they weren't doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing what they were told. And you look at Jessica Jones, you deal with the psychiatric issues. Like, I'm a big Doctor Who fan. It's one of the few sci-fi things that I watched, and David Tennant was one of my favorite actors, and he continued that thing, playing the villain that literally could tell anybody to do whatever heck he wanted, and they did it without question. And somebody with that kind of power is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. And they did a great job dealing with the psychiatric issues of rape and all that. It's just really the dark stuff that people will go through in real life, and they do a great job. Luke Cage was more focused on the racism that with and the
Mhm.
gangs and all that, and then I didn't quite understand what was going on.
Iron
Iron
Fist.
Fist.
Yeah, I think that one kind of ruined them all. I
Iron
think
Fist.
like they were so good, and then they ruined Iron Fist, and everyone's like, "Oh, this made this so
And
much
then
worse. It
The
could have been perfect."
Defenders show was meh. They made Iron Fist a little bit better, but meh. So
So just for me, mostly I really love DC just because I like the more of like the relatable superheroes, not like Thor, who's a god, like coming down like striking people with lightning. I'm like, okay, this isn't relatable for me at all. Like, so like that's why I like DC. I stray more on that side. Plus, for the longest time, DC was the only one that really dealt with the dark side. Like Marvel's done more of that lately, but for the most part, it was just DC that dealt with the darker like side of that stuff. And like Marvel was all, yeah, we have Spider-Man, and like until Marvel started doing their whole new like leading up to the Avengers and where we're at now, like their body of work sucked. Like, let's be honest, like the Spider-Man movies were not that good. Like one was good.
that was more Fox's issue though.
Yeah, and like the Fantastic Four movies are garbage. Like those are
Oh,
all
yeah, without
terrible.
doubt.
Every
All
single one of
trash.
those suck. So
Don't even.
like Marvel's body of work until the past like 5 years, like when they first started doing that, like Captain America and Iron Man are what started it, and that started building into the Avengers. Like that new era of Marvel has probably made their, I mean, obviously has made them better, their body of work better. And DC tried, but man, the Justice League and I mean, Wonder Woman was really good. The Justice League was okay. It was meh. There were good moments in it, and then Batman versus Superman was meh as well. Like it was this whole big
Yeah, I
build
care
up,
for it.
and then it just ended like immediately. I was kind of surprised, and then like, oh, we're best friends. Like that happened just all of a sudden. But like the Superman movies were pretty good, but like the older ones suck. So
Yeah.
I think the main reason these superhero movies are taking off and they're huge now is the like modern technology allows them to do this
Yeah,
stuff.
it allows us to see what craziness could happen in real life
Mhm.
if those people were there, instead of just seeing a graphic novel that somebody can draw. That's cool.
10 years ago actually, and that was after the Disney deal. Yeah, that's true.
Disney deal didn't start. The Disney deal didn't happen until after Iron Man 1 and the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
Or not the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk.
but those were good. Like those were all
have-
good.
Yeah, didn't
But,
have
like,
Mark Ruffalo.
Was it
as
Toby?
the
Was
Hulk.
Toby Maguire the Spider-Man? Is that his name?
Toby Maguire was the 2000 Spider-Man.
I did not like those.
Kind of did okay as a high schooler, not as much. Andrew Garfield did a great job as an older Spider-Man.
I actually really liked him as Spider-Man. I didn't necessarily like the movies, but I liked his Spider-Man character.
his Spider-Man was good.
But Tom
and the fact
Holland
that
is
they're-
still
Tom Holland's the best Spider-Man.
far and
I
above.
like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's not even
He-
close.
He plays the freshman high schooler
Mhm.
Spider-Man the best, and he plays the Spider-Man that's a teenage.
The-
He's a teenager.
The best part about the Spider-Man, like, and I think those are my favorite, honestly, like Spider-Man Homecoming. I think those are my favorite, honestly, out of any of them. Just doing a quick run through of all of them that exist in my head real quick because there's a million. But I loved Homecoming just because of the comedic like relief it added to it, and I guess like I really liked Civil War as well because of his and like bringing him into Civil War was I think really funny.
I love Civil War.
Underoos.
I think Marvel does humor really well, and that's one thing I think DC hasn't figured out. They have like no humor in their movies at all.
Mm-hmm. They're just so dry.
Which I think
sometimes.
that's a one aspect that I just kind of thought about is why I think Marvel movies are just better. But like for me, the Marvel movies need to do something different, and that's why I liked Infinity War. We're not going to talk about it because we're saving that for Jason. But that's why I liked Infinity War, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, even though like at this point you should have seen it if you haven't. But like the movie focused on Thanos, and I think that was a really good change for Marvel because like all their movies have felt very similar all throughout. Different characters, different story, but it's like the same theme. And that's why I really liked Infinity War because it focused on the villain and it was really big on Thanos, you know. So that I think that's, you know, that movie obviously has put them far over the top on DC, and we'll see what Justice League can do, but
I will say I've yet to see it, but from what I've noticed and the fact that I have seen bits and pieces and how they focused on the villain, you see through all the movies they did this build up to him, and Marvel is the first like big movie group to have these sequels or continued stories throughout all their movies
and spin-offs and things,
and that build up to one thing and actually cash in on it. Like a lot of times you'll get these build ups to these things and it's like, you know, it's just kind of oh well, and that's just usually what happens in movies.
And honestly, like Infinity War was a great movie, but like it didn't blow my mind. It just made me more ready for the second one. Yeah, that's where I'm at. It's a big setup. It itself is a big setup for the next movie. It really is. If you guys have watched it, you know what I'm talking about. So like,
I know it made a big setup for the more 10 years of.
That's what hurt that movie for me, honestly, is it didn't feel like its own movie. It felt like, oh, this movie was completely just preparing us for the next, for what's to come, you know. And so that's what hurt it a little bit for me. That's why I'm not like, it's the best movie I've ever seen. It's just not. Like, I don't know. It's just not. But any final thoughts on the DC versus Marvel debate? I think it's just kind of your own, who you are and your own personal. Yeah. I don't think you can argue that the Marvel body of work is better overall. But I mean, I don't know though. Like, we didn't talk about video games. Video game wise, the Marvel games are pretty.
Spider-Man games have been
bad.
Good.
Like, yeah, the Spider-Mans were good, but
Ultimate Alliance, that was a good game, right? That's a game.
Yeah. The one like it was like the 4 party. Is that the one you're talking about? Like it was the party of 4. Yeah, that was a good game.
Love those ones.
But like the Arkham games are
they're
so good. Yeah. Those are some of the best games of all time, in my opinion.
Injustice,
very good. Very good.
That's pretty good.
So I think video game wise, I'd say DC probably has the edge.
Lego Batman.
Well, the big problem with Marvel is their movies or their games are always just movie games. They're not. They don't go away from that. They just like, all right, our movie came out. Here's our video game where you play through the movie. And movie games are almost always awful. Like
that was a Star Wars issue sometimes. You know.
So. But yeah, I think DC has the edge on video games. Comic books, I have no idea. I would probably read. I'll probably read comic books someday, but for now, I don't have the money, don't have the time, not doing it.
I just need to go take all my dad's comic books.
Yeah. So I think that's all we have for this topic. Do we want to move on to the final one we have here, the sci-fi versus fantasy?
Oh, let's do it, my friend.
So sci-fi, when you think of sci-fi, it's Star Wars, Star Trek. If you're friggin'
Doctor Who. If Marvel comics are better, Jason says.
Marvel comics are better. Okay. See, I just don't know. I haven't read comics. Yeah. If you're Dwight Schrute, then Battlestar Galactica can be included in that. Bears.
Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica. That's my favorite prank of the whole show. Moving on. And then like fantasy is like your Skyrims, your Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So like your Skyrims, your Lord of the Rings. What else can we include in that? Like D&D type of stuff is all pretty much fantasy.
The base D&D game, but there's a lot of sci-fi D&D that's pretty fun. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, they've made a lot of good sci-fi tabletop.
Yeah.
Recently.
I like one thing I like about fantasy and both sci-fi, but I think it's more fantasy is anime is more included in fantasy. Like fantasy just tends to be a big thing.
Yeah. I'm thinking more of like the medieval like dragons, knights, wizards. That's what I consider fantasy in my mind, you know.
Yeah.
But you guys, if
Lord of the Rings, hand down, Two Towers, my favorite movie of all time.
So
wait, is this about movies or games?
any,
Both.
all of them, just as a
Oh,
genre.
man.
It can be anything.
Yeah, it's great.
So just
I love
like, and
Dragon
if you,
Age and Mass Effect.
Dragon Age and Mass Effect.
if you
So
want to
good.
go individually and talk about like, I like this type of movies better, but I like this type of games better, you know, feel free to
okay.
do that. So you can start us off if you want, Mish. Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Yes,
Nish.
so I guess for me, for sci-fi versus fantasy, gaming wise, I would say sci-fi is my favorite, and the only reason why for that is just Mass Effect. That's probably one of my all-time favorite games,
Mass
I
Effect is
played.
good.
and I love Dragon Age. But I feel like I love being Commander Shepard. I love having like my crew, and Mass Effect 2 is personally my favorite game. And that last mission, I was like, holy crap! That's like, it was so nerve-wracking because you could actually lose your teammates and they don't come back in the third one. And that's, for me, it was like the capturing the what really got to me. I was like, I love this game. And like Dragon Age, like it could happen too. I didn't feel like it was like, as for me, it wasn't as personal. And so for me, gaming wise, sci-fi takes it for me.
Okay.
So I'll just kind of piggyback off that a little bit. SWTOR, Star Wars: The Old Republic, was made by BioWare as well, which was one of the reasons why for a while. It just wasn't as in depth with the decisions making a big deal kind of thing.
The other Knights of the Old Republic games were so much better than
Oh
that one.
my gosh, that was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh, yes, please. More Knights of the Old Republic, yes.
I forgot
That's
about
one thing that I wish that we would do, so that Disney would look into doing, is everything that happens after the events of was not that great. Like, what's the word? Extended universe wise. But oh my gosh, everything from the Old Republic of Star Wars, which is one of the reasons why I like sci-fi. Probably, I would say sci-fi the most, thankfully, just from the extra stuff that Star Wars had in the extended universe.
Mm-hmm.
The Old Republic was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know, the time of like thousands upon thousands of Jedis and Sith, and the fact that the Sith were literally just moody Jedis. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so cool.
it was.
Yeah. So for me, I'd say video game wise, I definitely enjoy fantasy more. Like I like League of Legends. I loved Dragon Age. I love Elder Scrolls. I do really love Fallout, but for me, that's not really sci-fi. It's just post-apocalypse. It's not really like, I mean, it's got laser weapons. That's about as close to sci-fi as you get there. So if I was picking between Elder Scrolls and Fallout, I would pick Fallout. That's just me personally. I just love Fallout, but it's not really sci-fi, so it's not really an argument. World of Warcraft, like I said, I absolutely love it. Breath of the Wild, absolutely love it. So for me, you're gonna get me with like dragons, knights, wizards, like spellcasters, archers. You're gonna get me with like that type of game. More likely that you're gonna get me with sci-fi. Like the sci-fi games I've liked. I liked Mass Effect. I didn't play 2 and 3. I know I probably should have. I didn't play 2 and 3. But I liked 1. It was good. I like the Old Republic games. They're very good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess Halo is sci-fi, but outside of that, what other sci-fi games have I really liked? Like, I don't think there really are any.
Yeah, Halo was my game, my sci-fi game.
So you're much more likely to get me with a fantasy game than a sci-fi game. Movies-wise, it's very tough for me. Like, I absolutely love Lord of the Rings. They're some of my favorite movies of all time for sure. But then again, I absolutely love Star Wars. Like, they're like some of my favorite movies of all time. And I really actually did like the new Star Trek movies. I haven't watched any of the old Star Trek, so you're not going to get me there. But the new Star Treks were good. Play D&D. Dude, I'm down. I already play board games. That's just the next step from it. So
I've never played before, so I'll be down for that.
I'm super down. So we'll talk about that in the meeting next week for sure.
Thank you.
But I don't know. Like, I just think movie-wise, I probably lean towards sci-fi just because I think there's more. Like, what big fantasy movies do we have besides Lord of the Rings? Are there any?
Like fantasy?
Like knights, dragons, spellcasters.
So I'm gonna break a little bit from the nerdiness of games, because nerds is not just games and movies, but books. My favorite books of all time were the Inheritance Saga.
Dude, those are so good. I'm so sad Lionsgate made that movie so bad.
The movie was terrible. Oh my gosh.
Absolute garbage. The books are amazing.
Except for the fourth book.
Which one was the fourth one?
The Green Inheritance.
Yeah. Was that the last one?
That was the last one, and it was good until about halfway when he was being rushed to finish it. Knight's Tale, great comedy. I'm not gonna lie, Jason. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if we go into books, I'm definitely fantasy.
Oh, fantasy.
The
is
Hobbit's my
thing.
favorite book of all time. I just love it. I don't really know. I can't explain it. Now, those movies, the first one I loved because they followed the book. Second one was still pretty good
Bride.
because they were following the book. And then the third one was complete garbage. Like, they're just like, what's this book? Throw it in the trash. Like, that's what I felt like they did with The Hobbit.
See, here's the thing.
Oh, this is one of the
It's
greatest
hard
books
to
of all time. Trash.
Here's the issue with the third one is
I don't think they
they were
read it.
trying. Well, there was no fight to begin with that happened.
They just like completely went off story. Like Legolas's
there was-
whole storyline, the random
Yeah.
red-haired elf that was in it, that girl, and the dwarf's love story. Frigging Legolas like going Matrix and like.
Yeah.
Okay, now if we throw the Matrix in movies, I'm definitely sci-fi. Like the Matrix,
The
awesome.
first Matrix.
Yeah,
I love
2 and
Matrix.
3 were after they got big and made a bunch of money off the first one. If they would have made them the same like theory as they made the
Yeah.
first one, really good.
Jason's naming off like all of my
Monty
favorite
Python,
movies
the
right
Holy
now.
Grail, that movie's fantastic. But yeah,
I've
for
never
me,
seen that before.
I would definitely say Princess Bride. What? I've never watched that. I never will. They were just
Oh,
forcing a trilogy. That's a good point, Aetherios.
Panda, we need to talk later, but at some point I need to fly over to where you and watch The Princess Bride. with
Why?
you.
Why do I
Not
need to
gonna
watch
be
that movie? It sounds
It's
awful.
so funny.
Yeah.
But what? Oh yeah, like The Hobbit, like is my favorite book of all the time. We were talking about books. That's where we were. Like I love The Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings. I love like Lemony Snicket. Like those are random books as crap. But I love like Hunger Games. Those books were so good. Movies, meh.
Also, some of my favorite.
Harry Potter. If we throw
Harry
that
Potter.
into the fantasy world, that maybe tilts movies back towards me a little bit. But I still think I'm sci-fi movie wise.
Is I'm trying to think of it.
Oh yeah, I know The
another
Hobbit
small,
is shorter.
a small book, not small book, but more of a Christian book group would be
Lion, the Witch,
Stephen
and the
R.
Wardrobe.
Lawhead. Well, no,
I
yeah.
thought you were gonna say those. Those are good too. The Chronicles of Narnia.
Those, oh, I love the Chronicles of Narnia. I read them all twice. They're
Definitely
great.
fantasy books for me.
Those are sad books too. It would be Stephen R. Lawhead's books. Oh my goodness. There's some good.
The
writing
thing with
there.
books though is like fantasy's been around for a very long time. Like they've been doing
Don't make
fantasy
me road trip with Volan to watch.
forever. And like I feel like sci-fi books are like just now like a thing that's happening, like with the Hunger Games and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They're just now kind of getting into that genre with books. But for me, definitely books, fantasy, movies, sci-fi, games, fantasy for sure. I don't know what other aspects those things exist in. But I don't have anything else on sci-fi versus fantasy. Do you guys have anything else? on
No,
that?
sir.
All right. So is there any further topics or anything we want to discuss, or do we just want to do outros here and go on about our merry ways?
I'm all set, bro.
All right. Mish, where can they find you if they want to find more of you?
I am on Twitter, Crazy Mitch Fan, and Mixer, Crazy.
Oh, I accidentally cut out the Instagram or the Twitter instead of the Instagram on your thing. My bad. Whoops. I meant to do
No
that
worries.
in reverse.
Oh well.
Volan, where can they find you if they want more of you?
Well, you can always find me here on Twitch. Here in about 20 minutes. I'm about to start streaming here now, playing some League of Legends. Twitch.tv/my name right there next to where my beautiful face is. And also my Twitter handle by the same name, and my Instagram the same name. And any other questions you have or statements you want to talk to me about, well, Panda also wants to. I'm always willing to talk with you guys and stuff. Be here.
But yeah, thanks for being here, guys. Again, if you guys want to check us out, all of the links are down below. Check out any of that stuff. And then we'll be back next week with the King's Table.